Welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. I'm your host, Martel Llewellyn. We're pushing to 5,000 subscribers. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button, and thank you for all the support. Today we have Jay Talks-hoops from YouTube. Jay, just let the people know, who you are and what you do on your YouTube channel.
So I do a lot of different basketball content. Right now, just focus on WNBA because obviously the NBA is off season. So the most content you can do is like free agency. That's done. Draft, cool. Summer league, awesome. And you just look for those awful takes from the analysts, whether it's ESPN, Nick Wright, or whoever it may be, just to get some traction. But that's my main focus right now is just that content. Or if I like even today, like talked about with a clear Ware. And some other things. So yeah, just talking all whatever I find interesting when it comes to the NBA or WNBA, I like to talk about it.
Gotcha, perfect. So you did mention Kel'el Ware. So what are your first thoughts? I really do think that he's probably the best big man in the draft. I mean, when you look at him, his shot blocking, his rebounding, his scoring, I just think he has to put on just a little bit more size.
I agree. I like his recovery time. You know how his man beats him off the dribble?
Yes.
The way he's able to recover and whether he's disrupting a shot or blocking it. Because in the summer league, you're looking for more of like a sample size when it comes to players. Not like, oh my gosh, this guy's a superstar. You're not looking for that. You're looking for his upside. So when I'm looking at Clear Ware, I like the way he can recover. I like to see like some maybe more polished post moves from him. But I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a sleeper for Rookie of the Year, in my opinion, because I know this draft is like either going to be glorified role players or it's just going to be a bust, right? Because there's not a lot of like you see like all-star play like Cooper Flagg next year. We know he could be like a phenomenal player, but also we could see some surprises from this draft. There's a lot of like unknowns, but I think Ware like really stands out to me because he looks ready to go. Obviously, adjusting to the NBA will be tough for him because you're dealing with guys like Jokic, Embiid, Giannis. So that would take some time, but who knows? He might surprise us. I do want to see him attempt more threes. I don't think that's his fault because I think they were trying to just get him used to a system in the offense, but he shot a lot in Indiana. So if he can get that, I think he's at 33%, but if he's back to his normal, I don't remember the percentage off the top of my head, but if he's like 30%, that's only going to help the Miami offense, especially when they need the scoring, not the scoring, but the inside game to be open. So those driving lanes, so they're not like clogging the paint with Bam and Ware out there.
Yeah, perfect. So this is my boy Amir from Team to Beat Miami Heat. Make sure that you guys go to his channel and get him to 2,000 subscribers. So Amir, this is Jay Talks Hoops. He is a Boston Celtics fan, which is great because we've had a huge rivalries throughout these past few years. But he also can appreciate other teams. Jay Talk Hoops, just real quick before Amir goes.
Mm-hmm.
We were having this question the other day. If you were to switch Jimmy Butler and Tatum, do you think that Tatum could have done what Jimmy Butler has done with that, current team?
Well, I like to look at the process of everything too. So these guys are at different ages of their career. We look at guys like, and I'm not comparing LeBron to Tatum, but LeBron's first 2 years in the finals, he was averaging like 19 points a game. And what happened after that? He figured out a post game and he got better. Tatum is what, 26? So I think for Tatum, there was a lot of pressure he put on himself with trying to win a championship. Now, I will say this. He drove me nuts, especially after last year, because it was a Sixers game. In game 6, I'm like, bro, you can't get any points. Took him the last 5 minutes, and then game 7 happened. I think we have to see him develop more before we can come to that conclusion. We saw Jaylen Brown. What happened to Jaylen Brown? Had no left hand. Wins the finals MVP, right? He bounces back. You're like, why are you getting $300 million, bro? He shut everybody up. My concern with Jason Tatum has always been his mid-range game and able to be consistent there and finish at the rim. That's been my only thing against Tatum. Of course, in the clutch, you could get better there too. But, he did what he needed to do. Like, he guarded 1 through 5 in the finals. We saw him, obviously, he could shoot better. I'm not going to, act like he can't shoot the ball better. But I think, we have to see more from him when it comes to, showing up in the finals. I would say that. But we saw Jimmy also had his struggles too. But it's so hard to – Tatum gets so much hate because he's with the Celtics, has this roster. But if we're going to be honest for a moment, don't we want multiple conference finals appearances? Don't we want to be in the NBA finals trying to win a championship? We can go back and forth, but you need a good GM. You need all these things to have a competitive team. So it's hard for me to answer that question, especially Jimmy's probably more polished with his offense now. But we saw in his early stage where he had to develop that. He got to Miami, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, this guy has arrived. So it's hard to say right now. But I think right now, like, I don't know. I know that you probably want a yes or a no, but I need to see more. Now, next year, like, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, I think, still to do it again and actually show up in the finals. It's like the Steph Curry. Is he ever going to win finals MVP? And he finally did it. So it's more like a wait and see with Tatum.
Go ahead, Amir.
What's the question?
What do you mean answer?
In terms of
Well,
Jimmy and Jay?
anything. No,
Oh.
just ask him anything, bro. Come on.
No, well, nice to meet you, Jay. My name is Amir. Didn't realize you're a Celtics fan. Gosh.
I can be brutally honest about it if you want me to. Because
you seem like a very reasonable, logical Boston fan just based on your answer right there. So
oh my gosh.
I do appreciate your take right there. Not saying obviously the Heat would have been better with Jason Tatum on his team. They would have gone farther and won.
You think so? Okay, that's fair.
No, I'm just saying I'm surprised that you didn't like take that perspective as a Boston fan that you would assume from Twitter.
Let's look at the last two appearances where Tatum and the Heat. Let's just be honest here, right? Let's look at Game 7. People forget this. People don't want to talk about it, but it's a real conversation. Boston was up, 13 points in those last 3 minutes of the game? So the Heat came back. Inexcusable. Who didn't score in those last 5 minutes? Tatum made that fadeaway, made nothing. Neither did Jaylen Brown. We go to Game 6, right? The miracle Derek White shot. What happened in those last 5 minutes of the game? Where was Tatum and Brown at? Right? Now, again, we look at the process of things, and this year Tatum was better as a playmaker. He was getting better at that last year. But you look at Jaylen Brown, he shined in the clutch. And Tatum did have that overtime against the Pacers. I know people are like, oh, well, they didn't play anybody. It's like, well, when you're in the deep playoff runs, you're going to have a year. We just benefit from injuries. So it just happened to happen this year. But I think, those two playoff rounds, you could argue they would have never made the NBA Finals. They never would have got to a Game 7. That was just a reality at the time because Miami was better at executing the fourth quarter when games were tight. When it got to those 5 points and you just trusted Jimmy more. I want to ask you guys something because you guys are Heat fans. Are you going to move on from Jimmy Butler at some point this year?
I guess it depends. I mean, it's a contract year, technically. Right. I mean, it's his final year, and then he has a player option. And it's 42 next season, then 48 is the player option. And so the whole extension conversation was we want to technically add 1 extra year. So you would have 3 years moving forward, but that option then would be eradicated, and then it would be replaced from 48 to 52, and then he would want like 56 or 57 as that extra year. So now, like during the offseason, Pat Riley said, hey, like, we would love to extend you, but we don't need to make that decision right now. Like, like you haven't been available, like you were hurt and, you're getting older. So like, and you've been missing games. And we've talked about it with Bernie Lee, your agent, that like, we want you to be prior to last season. We want you to be more available. You've never played more than 65 games in a Miami Heat uniform. You've never had major injuries where it's like, KD had the Achilles, Clay had the Achilles and ACL, Kawhi's had the knee. You know what I mean? It's not like he's had those broken bones or torn, ACLs. He's just consistently like his body needs that rest and that maintenance, which has been frustrating. And it's like, hey, we need to take the regular season more serious because we can't continue to be a play-in team and go through this gauntlet. Like, and I keep saying this in episodes, like people say sometimes that seeding doesn't matter and all that shit. And I'm like, that's cap. That's bullshit. Because if you're not a top 3 team, you're not going to win in the NBA. Like, it rarely ever happens. Boston proved they're the best team in the regular season, and it translated because they had the number 1 offense. They had the number 2 defense. Like, the number 1 seed team has won 52 of the last 78 championships. Granted, which is insane. That's 67% of the last 78 championships have been the 1 seed. Again, the caveat is that since 74 or 84, one of those years, for the last 30 or 40 years, they didn't have 8 seeds until 30 or 40 years ago, right? So, of course, like the number 1 seed is going to win if there's 5 seeds or 6 seeds, whatever it is. So, I'm going to put that caveat out there. But still, traditionally, 1 through 3 have won 97% of all championships. And so, with Jimmy, it's like, I don't know if we can give him that extension, even if he does ball out next season and proves that he can be healthy, because it's just this blended build right now. Like, what's the point of offering him that money when we still might not be a contender? So I don't really know what we're gonna do. And if we're not doing good next year, because we have young guys that are going to be playing a lot more minutes next year, Jovic, Hawkes, Kel'el Ware, you were talking about earlier, and any of the undrafted guys, or Pelel Larson, Tyler's still freaking young. He's 24 years old. Like, we could be a bad team, especially if we are injured again, which we have been every single year for the last decade. And at that point, the Heat could just say, hey, we might want to get something for Jimmy now versus letting him walk away for free. And so they might just trade him as an excuse because they're not playing well. We can't contend, Jimmy. Thank you for your service. We want you to contend. Maybe they'll let him kind of choose what team he can go for, essentially. So we'll see. What do you think, Martel?
My biggest thing about Jimmy Butler is he doesn't have to play the whole 82. Nobody's saying that. But it's kind of like what Amir said.
Yes,
if you can give us a very competitive 65, that's fine by me. It's just that we can't sit here and try to just, Heat cultures are going to beat everything. Have we done that in the past? Yes. But there's absolutely no reason why we should be banking on it when, you have teams like the Boston Celtics. They improved. They got Holiday. Listen, you guys got Holiday for a steal. The fact that you guys pretty much got a Hall of Fame defender for that price, I think that was a steal. Porzingis, that was a gamble that paid off, even though he missed a few games. But when you really think about it, he was healthy throughout the whole regular season, which he's never really healthy like that.
And they managed his injury because every time he had like some type of bruise, they're like, "Yo, we're just gonna sit him out." They didn't play no game.
What did you trade for him?
Exactly.
How did you get him again, Porzingis?
They traded him for Marcus Smart. So it was definitely a questionable decision because Marcus Smart's the heart and soul of the team, but you're going to take risk when it comes to trades or free agency. So obviously it's going to be a lot of speculation, but it all paid off. I want to ask you, so going back to Jimmy Butler, what has the Heat been really good at when it comes to building a championship? Well, you traded for Shaq. You drafted Dwayne Wade. That got them a title, right? And then they went through some moments where they struggled, but then what happened? You signed LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. That team was so good because their top talent could match the other top talent. What Miami has gone through these last two finals is where you ran into LeBron and AD, and they had that tree Dwight Howard, Rondo, Caruso, Kuzma. Like that, no one was beating that Lakers team. And then you ran into Jokic and Jamal Murray last year. Jimmy's not a bad player. I just think talent-wise, that's what's missing right now is like Jimmy's great, but I think they need like another tier above him for a superstar. I think Bam is good in his role, but I think Bam is better as a third option. You know what I mean? Like that's not his fault, but I think if you can get another scoring punch to help complement Bam as a defender, then you're looking at a title team again because they had two top 10 players in Wade and LeBron. And like I don't know if it's Pat Riley's ego. I'm not sure what it is. But that's just what I think about Miami right now.
I can answer that. Yeah. So also going back to the Lakers, here's my fun excuse. The injuries, Bam Adebayo missed 2 games in that series, and Goran Dragic got hurt in game 1 and missed that series. Dragic was our number 1 scorer in the playoffs in the bubble. And yes, it was a younger Goran Dragic. He was like age 34, 35, not the 39-year-old who barely played for the Bucks before he eventually retired, I think last year or 2 years ago. So we went to 6. So don't forget about that. Jimmy Butler had 2 triple doubles in the finals. So like he was literally putting the team on his back. Like it's an asterisk because the Lakers won, and I hate the Lakers. You didn't know that, but we have something in common right here. It's the team I hate the most in all sports. So you're gonna like me for that.
The attention, the media, but I get it. It's Los Angeles, so
right. But screw that. I'm the biggest Laker hater, so screw that. If we won, of course, it would have been counted. Of course, best championship ever. But to answer your point about Jimmy as well, why he hasn't had the help, and it's because of just the front office has had poor asset management, and we didn't really have any cap space, which is like not the traditional, or that's the traditional way you would get a star player to join your team. Typically, was you would wait till they're a free agent, you save up some cap space, then you'd add them to the team. But now it's like you wait till a player is in his final year of his contract. The team has to trade him because they say that I'm not going to re-sign with you guys or sign an extension. So trade me or lose me for free. And so in those moments when Mitchell was going to be not he never requested a trade, but when Utah saw the writing on the wall and they traded him, like we didn't have the assets because poor asset management. When we got Goran Dragic, we traded 2 or 3 picks, which wasn't horrible at the time because Dragic was in his prime and we needed a point guard that could score. But that's an example where we might have given away too many picks. With Jimmy Butler, we had to give a pick. With Dwayne Dedmon 2 years ago, when we wanted to drop him, our third center on our depth chart, we had to add a second round pick. Like we've given away like big contracts in the past as well to players who didn't really deserve it. So we didn't have the cap space. And then of course we didn't have the capital or the draft capital because we don't tank. Like we trade those picks away and we have. And you see that now, right now, like if we've been rumored or linked to anybody like a Lauri Markkanen or Donovan Mitchell, if he didn't sign his extension this offseason, we wouldn't have had more than one first round pick to trade. Like, and no one really seems to want Tyler Herro or Duncan Robinson or some of the guys that like have the larger contracts, which we would need to aggregate to get a big player. So that's the answer why like Jimmy hasn't had the help. And also,
and that's what I'm thinking. Like, do you move on? Like, let's say Jimmy's really good the first half of the season, and you look at the 2025 draft class that has a lot of like depth and potential. Do you? Because I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. OKC owns their pick if it falls between 1 and 14. So I don't know if mine. So maybe, and I agree with you, Amir. I think they got to come out trying to get in a top 5 seed. I don't think you can make any excuse about. Oh yeah, because if you're in 8th, you're going to land like where OKC wants you. I think the Heat need to come out saying, you know what? Because I think 3 through 7 is a dogfight between the Bucks, the Sixers, the Pacers, the Magic, and the Heat. I think it really is a dogfight. I think the Magic had the most upside because of their young talent. So we don't know what Orlando could look like. They could be like, because they were 15-5 before they had their injuries. So we'll see if that translates to a top seed. I don't know. But I think you're looking at going, okay, we come in, we got Jaime Jaquez. We don't know his upside yet because we don't know if he's an all-star or just a really good role player. We saw a flash of clear Ware. We know Bam got his extension, so he's good to go. Now we just got to figure out, okay, is Terry Rozier part of our future? Because he's another guy. People got mad at him because, he got hurt, but he didn't do too well. But he was just adjusting. So I think you got to at least see how it plays out. So if you go into the middle of the season, you're like, okay, are we on the level of the Celtics? If it's a no, then maybe you move off Rozier and Butler and do like a rebuild. That might not be the best answer, but you need talent. Like, I don't think I want a bunch of like Derek Whites out there and not have like a LeBron James level player out there. Because if I don't, then I'm going against Jokic or another, like, let's say, like what the Spurs are doing. They own the Hawks first round pick unprotected. They own the Bulls 1 through 10 next year. And if they just traded Caruso and DeRozan's gone, and they own the Hornets pick that falls between 1 and 14, they still have their own first round pick. So if you're looking at what the Spurs are doing, like I'm looking at Miami going, okay, I know you want that talented superstar, but if it's not arriving right now, start rebuilding. Start building around Jaime, keep Bam, of course, around, and give up, those chances to be contenders. Because I just don't know how much longer they can really ride Jimmy Butler, and I think he's been great for them. He can only do so much, like you said, the bubble. I know they had the injury to Dragic, and they had somebody else that was hurt too. I don't remember, but they were dealing with injuries in the finals. So like maybe if they were healthier, they pushed them to 7. But do you think the Lakers are losing that game? I don't know. It just been a lot of, to overcome for them. I just think they got to go back to the drawing board of like getting that top 10, that top talent they used to have.
Do you think that we could have pushed it to more games? Like if we have a healthy Jimmy Butler, like a healthy, because listen, my man, I think that Terry last year, I mean, this coming year is like totally different, but last year, Terry was honestly the missing piece. We had an out of shape Kyle Lowry. Terry was the missing piece in a sense.
Yeah, I agree. But again, when we're looking at top 10 talent, like top tier talent, Rozier is a really good like tier 2, tier 3 player. That's not disrespectful.
Yeah.
Tier 3, probably realistically.
Tier 3, realistically, yeah. But then you're going against guys in the playoffs who are tier 1 players, and then they have the other, like your Derek White, your Drew Holiday. That's the thing that Miami has to figure out is like, how can we? Because they've shown in the past they can win championship. They can get free agents. Let's be honest. Like people talk about the Lakers all the time. I was like, what, do y'all forget about Miami? Like they get superstars left and right. So they're just in a weird spot, I think, where they can be competitive, but do they pull the trigger and move on from Jimmy? Because I know I didn't like the whole I know he was sad when Damian Lillard didn't come, but I'm like, bro, you guys just made the finals, lock in, take the regular season more serious, and obviously, like Ymir said, they gotta take this regular season get a home court advantage in the first round. Like don't settle for that play-in spot.
Well, you don't need first, but at least 1 through 5 so that we're out of the plan because because everything went the opposite way for the Miami Heat. Victor Oladipo, season-ending injury. Tyler Herro breaks his hand. It's just one thing after another. But what's your opinion on Tyler Herro? Do you think that we should hold on to him? What's your opinion on him?
That's another question mark because I don't think he's a bad player, but it just comes down to they have all these really Miami has a bunch of really good role players next to Jimmy and Bam, but I just feel like the talent could be upgraded a little bit more. Not in the sense of they're bad players, but when you look at Derek White, you're this guy does all the right things in the basketball court. He's blocking shots. His defense is phenomenal. He's just you can tell that the talent is different.
He's a better fit with your Jays, your two Jays.
Right, I'm not right, but I'm saying I'm just thinking talent wise for the Heat. I love Duncan Robinson. He can get his 3-point shots off. He surprised everybody in the playoffs last year. That was crazy what he was doing. Yeah. But you going back to the bubble, they were both him and Herro you saw the flash of Miami's got something really good here. Then what happened? I was expecting Tyler Herro to eventually be an all-star because of what I saw in the bubble. The guy was cooking this up. I mean, the dude was cooking them. It was disgusting.
As a rookie.
Yeah.
He had a 40-point game, right? Didn't he have a 41-point game against you in the playoffs?
Destroyed them. That's all I know.
He had a 34-point game, I think.
He's
34, 35.
He was on it. So I thought, okay, Tyler Herro, Jimmy, Bam, saw the future. But then Tyler, I don't know what's going on. So this is where the Heat got to figure some things out when it comes to we got this Tommy Hawkins guy who he looks really good. And I think I saw a quote he just wanted to get experience in the summer league. He didn't have to play.
That's that dog.
So they have that. So now you're okay, we love Ware's upside. We know that next year's draft has a lot of talent. So do we pull the trigger and just do a rebuild for now? Because I don't think the Heat stay down that long. They don't really stay down forever. And you're going to get a free agent. And then you look at the market of NBA superstars, there's not a lot of guys that I think are attractive outside of maybe Devin Booker, because I think the Suns are going to completely fall apart. I love Kevin Durant, but I can't defend the man no more because it's hard to defend a guy after you go to the Warriors and you haven't done anything since. I just can't defend him, but he's still my guy. But I think at the same time, for the Heat and everything that's going on, they got to figure out what they want to do here in terms of adding that talent. But yeah.
Yeah, let's read this dono. He said, what do you guys think of Spoelstra moving to team president, and then Chris Quinn becoming the head coach? W roundtable. Listen, I think that could honestly happen, but just not right now because
too young.
Spoelstra's a little bit too young.
He's got the championships. He was in 4 straight finals. You can't just. It's not his fault. They need to figure out the direction they're going to go with this roster. You know what I mean? It's not a bad roster. It's just you have a lot of really good tier 3 players, and you have Jimmy and Bam. It's okay, how do we mesh that all together?
It's
not
key.
A bad idea.
Fit. It's fit.
I agree.
It's not all Tyler's fault. It's just him, right. Jimmy, and Bam don't fit together. And, maybe, we need guys who are more offensively gifted, because you mentioned Bam. Bam's not going to be your third best player technically, but he should be our third best scorer, right?
And that's fine.
That should be fine. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think just with Tyler, he hasn't fit next to Jimmy. And again, he doesn't have those intangibles that could work for the Miami Heat like the Derek White brings for your team. That guy is such a good two-way player, but he's also really skilled offensively. He can get really hot and hit a bunch of threes. He can finish at the rim. Yeah, I think it's just the defensive intangibles though that makes him a superior role player. Because Tyler Herro is still technically a high-level role player. He's not an all-star.
But you need that lead, right? If he was at all-star level, you're looking at the Heat differently right now. You just are.
Now that's what we're hoping for, but he hasn't been able to be that third scorer that's like Devin Booker. We need him to be 24, 25. He's not efficient. That's the key.
Yeah.
He's he'll have a 10-point game and then a 20-point game. He just has to shoot a lot in order to score.
I remember at one point, I thought about Giannis for the Heat. But that's not a good fit because he's not a small forward. He's more of like a guy that needs to be in the paint. He's not a consistent jump shooter. And, he would take up Bam or Ware's minutes. I think you got to develop Ware. I think that's an obvious thing because the upside is there for him. I think Devin Booker's the target because he would, like, you bring his offense into it. He's proven he can lead a team to a championship. I know he had Chris Paul at the time, but he was their number one scorer. So you have that in Devin Booker. You put him next to Bam. Now it's like, okay, we got Jaime. We don't know his upside yet. And then we have Bam, Ware, and Booker. All we need is one more piece. That's all we need. And then you figure that out. And again, it's hard to maneuver through that, especially like the market for superstars isn't really out there right now. A lot of players are just staying with the same franchise. Like Luka's not going anywhere anytime soon. Embiid wouldn't be a good fit anyways. But a lot of players seems to be staying. You don't hear a lot of rumors of like big time superstars changing the landscape of the entire NBA right now. And then you got the second apron with the taxes. That's another thing that teams are looking at right now. But that's why you need draft picks, because a lot of teams are moving towards getting second round picks and getting first round to have more draft capital, whether it's for a trade or just develop. And Miami's great at developing players. Like they had Caleb Martin out here looking better than Jaylen Brown. It was insane what he was doing out there. Like it was crazy. I was like, who is this guy? And so they're good at developing. They just got to find those guys who are going to be superstar players. I think that's the biggest thing is like Tyler Herro is great in his role, but bro, you're not an all-star player. No disrespect. But when you go to the NBA Finals, you're going to face a team who's got the talent. So you got to deal with Boston and OKC. OKC's got all these draft picks. They're going to be here maybe for a while, assuming they can keep their guys. That's going to be when their rookie deals come up. That's going to be a question mark. But that's what he have done this though. It's not like they haven't gotten talent. They have LeBron and Wade. Like let's not act like this team can't actually attract players or develop these players or draft them. It's there. It's just they got to figure out their direction, in my opinion.
Deadpool, little cousin, man. Thank you for the donut, man. I appreciate it. So Amir, do you have anything else before we close or no? Because I know that Jay got to go.
All good.
All good, guys. Make sure that you guys go to jaytalks-hoops, get him to 1,000 subscribers. All right, guys. Make sure that you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you guys go to Team to Beat Miami Heat, which is Amir's channel. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button, and thank you guys for all the support. Jay, just tell the people one more time about your channel.
Yeah, I just talk about a bunch of basketball content. Right now, it's just focused on WNBA. I want to give it a shot right now because of the Caitlin Clark effect. I didn't watch a lot in college, so I try to do as much as I can. So right now, my favorite player is A'ja Wilson. I like the way she plays ball. And just trying to keep up with that as well with Angel Reese and Caitlin. So it's fun right now. And then doing like reaction videos to obviously you'll find a dumb take about some analysts and then trying to keep up with like, the summer league and, things like that.
Well, thank you again, Jay.
Appreciate it.
Me and Amir, we're going to keep going live, man. But thank you for coming on the show, bro.
Anytime.
Amir from Team to Beat Miami. Guys, bro, he was late, man. So make sure that you guys put L in the chat, bro. He was late today.
Only 2 minutes, literally.
The first time ever late. Guys, but we're going to talk some summer league hoops. Do you have time, Amir?
Yep.
Or what?
I got a little
bit. Time? Who
Yep.
are you picking for the 3 two-ways? Let's hear it. And guys, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Keep up with the super chats, guys. I appreciate all the support. And guys, make sure that you guys go to Amir's channel and hit the subscribe button.
So I'm going to go with, let's see, Cole Swider, Drew Smith, and Zion. That's my 3.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I'm just messing. Dylan 2 times, Amir on his trend time. Don't you know?
Guess what, Dylan? Shout out to Dylan 2 times.
Shout out to Dylan, man. What's up? So Kashad is like obviously a no-brainer. He's like automatically going to, be given that 2-way. He already has it. I assume he's going to keep it. I think they're going to pull Zion's 2-way and give it to, or what I hope they do is give it to Isaiah. So Isaiah, Kashad, and then I'm hoping we pull Drew Smith's 2-way and give it to Josh Christopher. So I'm hoping those are the 3 right there. But then, dude, think about this. Like, Alondes was balling the last 3 games. Alondes balled last year. And, like, Cole Swider, whatever, he's fringe. Like, that also sucks. But there's even Cole Swider can be that fifth dude right there, right? So like, I don't know, man. Deadpool, I'm like kind of agreeing with you, man. Like how much playing time is Isaiah Stevens really gonna get? Like, we play positionless basketball. We got Terry, we got Tyler, like Bam and Jimmy can, bring up the ball. Like, do we really need a backup two-way guy who's really not gonna play a lot of time, like in the rotation? Like, we're super guard heavy. Like, Alondes is really
He
talented, man.
fits a
That's like
better
hard to give up,
role
right?
too. hmm
What are
No,
your
but he
thoughts?
also fits a better need. He's a bigger player. I mean, like it's kind of like what you said. Like Isaiah, he's good so that you can keep him in the system. But the Miami Heat, they're really gonna have to think about. But you definitely need Christopher, and you definitely need Kashad. Christopher, he's an established NBA player already. He already played in the NBA.
Yeah, he's got real NBA minutes under his belt. That means something. You see the freaking guys in like Memphis playing against us yesterday. Scottie Pippen, like Junior, not the
He was
best guy,
balling.
but like you saw that he had experience. He played last year, right, with the Lakers and some other teams, and you saw GG Jackson like with the Grizzlies. He scored 44 points or something like in a regular season game. Like you saw how
hmm
good they look compared to like even some of the good Miami Heat players, right? Like playing in the NBA is impactful and meaningful, and Josh has that experience, and he's someone that we need that could be an electric scorer off our bench. Again, he's not going to play hardly any games, right? Because we have so many shooting guards and small forwards like on the bench with Jay Rich and Burks and Duncan, Jaime, like all those guys can kind of fill that role. But what happens to Miami every year? We're the most injured team. Always, like there's going to be some PT for Josh Christopher, right? And like he's someone we should give a chance to, I think, for sure. I think he leapfrogs. I think he leapfrogged Alondes at least, in my opinion. But who do you got, Martel? Who are the three you go with?
Kashad, Stevens, Christopher. Point blank. Period.
Same as me then?
hmm Now,
Yeah.
what do you think about Larson? Because Larson, he did start off summer league a little bit rough, but bro, listen, this is the one thing that I like about Kashad and Larson. When they said, Kashad, what are you going to bring to the Miami Heat? He said his heart. You don't have people like that talking like that in the NBA anymore. You don't.
Yeah.
And then then last night they said, what do you bring to the Miami Heat to Larson? He said, all I'm gonna do is work. He said that I'm a dog and all I bring is hard work. What more do you want? What more do you want?
Heart and hard work.
Heart and hard work.
That's what I want. That's the more I want from both of them. Combine each other's answers.
That's what you know what I'm saying?
Dude, he's good, man. He's kind of that Swiss Army knife, that the Miami Heat can use. He's a two-way player. He tries his heart out on defense. Like he's a hustler, like moves his feet well. Athletic, like he can get to the rim. You saw him kind of get into the paint, or he did get into the paint. He got to the dotted line and made that little jumper for the game winner in the finals. Like, so he has the ability to put the ball on the floor, get to the rim. He needs to improve, obviously, as a finisher at the rim. He needs to obviously continue to grow as a shooter, but he could finish at the rim and he could shoot threes. Like, I think the next stage for him is eventually developing that mid-range game.
Yeah.
Getting a mid-range pull-up, but that's like he has so much time, like his endless amount of time to do that. Focus on your 3 and D right now, right? And then obviously getting to the rack a little bit and play some defense. That's the biggest thing we really need. So he has heart also and determination, which I love. So he seems like a good fit and someone that we stole at the 53rd or whatever pick we had, right? Like someone that fits really well that could actually play in regular season games. Like he seems like he'll crack the rotation.
Yeah, hopefully. Yo, what's up, Melvin? And what Deadpool little cousin? That's exactly what Pat Anspo wants to hear. Hard work and dedication. And they're gonna keep working, and all they care about is winning games. Now, listen to me, like I know that we talked about this before, but what can Tyler Herro just improve on going into this, regular season? We got 30 people in the building. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you guys send those super chats, and make sure that you go to Amir's channel, Team to Beat Miami Heat, and hit that subscribe button for him.
Yeah, so Tyler, I mean, he still needs to work on his handles. I mean, he needs to take care of the ball a little bit better. Like he has some clumsy turnovers, like at times, like where he gets caught up in the air and he throws the ball and it gets intercepted. So I think just taking care of the ball a little more, but also working on your handle a little bit. Like his shot is good. He has that midi. He has that pull-up game. He can hit the three. He has the floater game, right? But I think he needs to work on his handles so he can create more shots for himself. He relies a lot on the pick and roll and bam screens, right? So if he can actually work on that handle, break down defenders, I think that would help. And then, of course, just taking care of the ball, like not being careless. And like he got stripped a lot. You saw in the playoffs by Drew Holiday and Derek White. So those are some things. He obviously needs to work on defense. Like that's a work in progress. But what we need, though, more so than defense from him is offense, right? We need him to go from a 20-point score to a 25-point score if he can. Like it's not going to
with
solve all the
efficiency.
problems. With efficiency.
With efficiency, yep.
What do you think outside of like what skill set do you think he needs to work on too? Like getting to the line could be something else, right? What else?
He has to get to the free throw line. But yo, shout out to that, bro. That's my favorite saying. That he said that I only see Miss Kyle Lowry just to hear Martell say that he's overweight and out of shape, eating burgers and shakes. Kyle Lowry, he was a disgrace, and it's crazy how that all rhymed. Christopher can definitely he would take Jay Rich's spot low key. I agree.
Yeah.
Curry 2-1-1-1. Please trade Tyler, guys. Hit that. So the link is right here. Hit the link button. You guys can come on the show as well. Tyler has to get to the free throw line. Can he get to the free throw line? Can he draw contact? I think those are some of the biggest things he needs to work on. Getting to the free throw line because that's underrated. If he can get to the free throw line 4 to 5 times a night, that could be 5 points added to his average.
Yeah, his free throw attempts went down every year. Three attempts, 2.7, 2.6 last year. That's not a good trend. It needs to be going up. So
yeah, because he's a good free throw shooter.
Yeah, he was like 90% to the line 1 year. He was the number 1 free throw shooter like 2 years ago.
Yeah, he just needs to get to the line. That is my biggest thing. Christopher needs a contract. Yeah, I mean, hopefully Christopher's game can actually transition, though, to the NBA. I think that's one of the biggest things. Out of all the guys that we want to sign, I don't think Cole Swider can – bro, because outside of shooting, what else can he really bring? I think that's my thing about whole – like, he's not a good defender. He can't get to the rim.
Nope.
You know? So –
yeah, he's a worse Duncan.
Yeah, thank you. So he's a worse Duncan. So, yeah, he could shoot lights out, but can he actually get the ball in terms of consistently throughout the Miami Heat offense, which – like I said, if he's a defensive liability out there along with, Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson, that's not a recipe for success. What? Miami's getting ready to unload some players? I don't think so, man. I think that the roster is pretty much set as is.
Who do you think, though? Who does he think, though?
Exactly. Who exactly is the Miami going to unload? Maybe towards the trade deadline, they could probably try to get off of Duncan or Tyler, but you guys remember, it's not going to be
expiring. Once our contracts are expiring, that's when people like a Terry Rozier and Duncan, I think both of their contracts, I think, are expiring after next season. That's when you could move those guys. That's when we moved Burgers and Shakes, right? That's when Burgers and Shakes got knocked off our team off that $30 million deal in his final year, right? So Duncan, $19 million in his final year. Terry's going to be like $25, $26 million a year for his final year. Those are contracts you could dump.
But it's like, listen, the fact that, Kyle Lowry had Jaime Hawkins Jr. running around getting Chick-fil-A on the away games. But people, man, listen.
For real?
Yes. Go look it up. Guys, go right now. Go Google it.
Bro.
This man, Kyle Lowry, had Jaime Hawkins Jr. running around getting him. Of course we're not going to win. He has
Chick-fil-A is not even that great, but of course you have to get –
Bro, when you're eating Chick-fil-A every single day on the road, burgers and shakes and fries, of course it is.
And, hey, chicken sandwiches are worse than burgers because that shit's fried, So
it's fried. What did he say? So Deadpool, look, Tyler has to be more aggressive and catch and shoot player like Clay and even Devin Booker.
Exactly.
Messes up dribbling too much.
He won't play off ball.
That's the thing. But I do agree with him. He needs to be more aggressive.
Yeah, because he's a good 3-point shooter, but he also takes harder 3-point shots that are necessary at times, where he takes those fadeaway kind of sidestepping threes at times. You know what I mean? Like his shot appetite is difficult shots too. That's why he's not as consistent. So maybe to your point, Deadpool, if he could be more aggressive on his catch and shoot, he can take more effective shots. Martell, I think that probably is something he can improve on as well, is taking better shots, easier shots, But then again, we don't have a lot of guys who can create their own shot, and that's the thing about this offense. We need guys like Tyler to do things like that sometimes.
That's why Christopher, for me, he can create his own shot, which is huge. You need guys that can create their own shot.
Yeah, but here's the problem, because if he is ever going to play, which it's going to be a scenario where we're either sucking or really injured, or Jay Rich or someone has to be completely like cold. Because think about it. When he's going to come in, it's like, okay, Jay Rich has to be ineffective. Duncan has to be ineffective or
Whopper
hurt.
boy.
Alec Burks, right? But think about this. In the G League, if he has a game like he did 3 games ago in the summer league where Josh Christopher had he went 1 for 7, had like 6 points, he's not going to come back in the game. That's the thing. Like, he can't start off slow. That's the issue with him, because he's a streaky scorer. He needs to come out
That's
like
true.
JR. He needs to come out like JR Smith type of dude.
He is a J.R. Smith type player, yes.
He has to come out hot. Otherwise, because he's not going to crack the rotation and get like 20 minutes. Here's your 10 minutes, like, right? Because of injuries or because of whatever, show us that you can play. Like, you're not going to get a second chance as a two-way player. That's the only thing that I worry about with him, because he also doesn't do a lot of other things extremely well. Otherwise, he'd be in the league, right? He's not an amazing defender, which he makes up for, right? Where it's like, okay, cool. This guy's like a lockdown defender. He's athletic. He's young. He could score. Let's give him a contract, right? So he needs to work on defense, which he has been doing in the summer league, which is a good sign. You could see that he's buying in, right? He sees this is possibly one of his last opportunities to make an NBA roster. He needs to better at rebounding, passing, all that stuff. So,
guys, if there's any more topics that you guys want to let us know about, put them in the chat. I see what? Let me see. 90 mil on Chunky Cheese Lowry, exactly. And the fact that Amir even likes Kyle Lowry, guys, isn't that a huge disgrace? Oh my God, Pat Riley.
why is this guy saying lies? I hated Kyle Lowry before he joined this team. That fat freaking whopper flopping bastard. All he does is flop. All he does is
Whopper
cry.
boy.
All he does is complain. Whenever the Heat played him, all those years when he was on the Raptors, I hated that guy so much. Of course, as he came to the Miami Heat, I had to root for him, but I never liked him. Not a fan.
Me either.
He's annoying.
I think he's absolutely terrible.
He's an annoying player, like Chris Paul, those guys who just cry and complain and flop. It's just like who he became over the last like decade. He was good his first few years, when he was on Houston and what other team was he on? Houston mostly. I forgot who else. He played with Goran back in the day. He was cool back then, but just once he got to the Raptors, not a fan. Martel's a fan of freaking what's his name? Thomas Bryant over here. He was hoping that he was going to get a
Thomas Bryant.
Contract.
No. Listen, Eric Spoelstra should have gave Thomas Bryant more minutes throughout the regular season. Is he trash? I understand that, but he should have been given more relief, minutes to help Bam Adebayo. That's just me personally. You can't have Bam running into the ground playing 82 games. No, playing 40 minutes a game. No, bro.
Spoelstra's stubborn.
He's just stubborn about certain things.
He was stubborn with his rotations, and he's not perfect. He's not perfect, but
he's also given a bad roster.
Yeah, that too. All that stuff. He should have played freaking Orlando Robinson over Thomas Bryant. That's the thing that pissed me off too. At least he was younger, and he was fighting for his standard contract for this next year. You know what I mean? Like, he had no guarantee. Thomas Bryant had a player option, right? So Thomas Bryant had a 1-year deal last year plus a player option this year. Orlando Robinson didn't have a guaranteed contract after this season. There was a timeline where the Heat would have to either sign him or not, which we obviously waived him. But, he had some opportunity in the regular season. He didn't look amazing, but I still feel like we should have gave him an opportunity. He was someone who's younger than Thomas Bryant, someone who was cheaper than Thomas Bryant. And Spo was stubborn. He wouldn't give either of them, honestly, time. He gave Kevin Love more time. And what happened to Kevin Love, Martel, with the last 15 games of the season, 20 games of the season? He got hurt. And that screwed us over in positioning, right?
All right, you guys. So we're going to end the live. Make sure that you guys go to Team to Beat Miami Heat. Hit that subscribe button. Get him to 2,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for all the donations. Hit that subscribe button for my channel. We're pushing a 5K. And thank you guys for all the support. We'll probably do another live Friday or Saturday night. So make sure that you guys stay tuned for that. And thank you guys for all the support.